Hello, I'm reading chapter 11 today of that November weekend. Tuesday morning, Linda almost had to cancel her appointment with her lawyer because of the amount of snow mixed with freezing rain. Mark postponed picking up his new car that the insurance company settled on. Reluctantly, the three of them did go to see the lawyer, and surprisingly, Linda made it into the office. The receptionist actually looked disgusted at Mark for posting $10,000 to bail out a person who would actually defraud an elderly woman out of her money. Or it seemed so to Linda because of the guilt she felt. Linda could hardly breathe at that point. The truth was, the receptionist was only just brief with the clients and there just to do her job and not to judge anyone. She prepared the new file, recorded the court order of the bail bond, her charges and custody release papers. Linda had applied for legal aid while in jail and signed forms for a continuance of certificate. Linda was the only client in the office that morning, and with her mood spiraling the way they do, she uh, oh, I missed my place. She knew she couldn't bear the embarrassment of being seen or noticed by others in need of legal counsel. The three sat quietly in the black patent leather chairs in the waiting room. The walls were dark paneling and the floor was dark blue looped carpeting. The dark blue vertical blinds were also pulled shut as if there was going to be anyone out walking past the window in such rough weather. The darkness of the room was dimly lit with cold stainless steel track lighting. It made the room feel very cold, and there wasn't even any art hanging on the walls. The only brightness in the room was from the colors in some flyers placed in help yourself display kits about domestic violence and a couple of car magazines. Mr. Solmes will see you now if you take the second door on the right. The receptionist directed. How do you feel, Linda? Kelly, I'm going to faint. You two go in and sit down. I'll see if I can get Kelly some water, Mark said. Good idea. And Kelly held Linda's by the arm in case she did faint or hurt herself. I'm in a lot of trouble here. I can feel it. It's okay. I think it's just the coldness of the room and the weather. Here, drink some water, Linda, and it'll probably be another few minutes before we get here too, so try and relax. I'm trying, Linda sobbed. Craig walked into the office, a short man with red hair, about 36 years old, and very professional and serious looking, but with certain warmth in his eyes, which caused Linda to relax some. She immediately felt that he knew his job and the law well, a good judge of people, and knew how to give counsel to his clients' individual needs. Every inch of Craig was well groomed, and his office was meticulous, yet dark and glossy. He looked, he shook hands with Mark and Kelly and Linda and began to review the evidence that the Crown Attorney had sent to his office. The evidence was strong, complete, and overwhelming against her. Linda was advised that the consequences for fraud under 5,000 was 8 years in prison unless the defense can argue, and depending on the accused evaluation, the conviction would be determined in the trial. Then the lawyers interviewed Linda. An affidavit was prepared in her defense. I was in a desperate situation. My tuition fee was overdue, and that portion of my student loan was late. I had not enough money for my rent, which was also overdue, and I had not eaten anything in 3 days. I could no longer rely on my parents for assistance. Your parents won't lend you any support, even feed you? No, my parents recently divorced, and mother left father penniless. My mother received a large inheritance and turned her back on the whole family. I had no one to turn to, and my roommate defrauds people by phone all the time, and she has never been caught until now. Your roommate was the only person involved, is that correct? Yes, in this case anyway. Describe the situation and the plans for the phone scam on December 19th, 2010. I don't know how Bonnie decides who to call, but she got the number of Martha Miller and knew the name of her daughter, Pauline Haslow. Penny made the call, and I was to pick up the money from Western Union because it was for my own use. So that's your involvement? Bonnie planned the scam and the money was for you? Yes, she does this all the time and has collected thousands of dollars last year from one scam or another. Continue. Martha Miller actually has a daughter named Pauline Haslow, and Bonnie pretended to be the daughter and said that she had been robbed and needed $3,000 immediately. Miller believed this to be true and wired the money. We drove to Western Union branch in Brockville so we couldn't be traced, and the police were pretty much there waiting for us to collect their money. I was arrested on the spot, and so was Bonnie as my assistant, yet she was the one that planned the scam. I feel sick. Where's the washroom? Linda was very upset and crying and ran to the restroom with Kelly to assist her. While the two women were in the restroom, Craig spoke to Mark about the arrangement he had with the court and the state of the situation so far. Craig added in her file that she will be working in the hardware store and now would have the support of him and Kelly and the extended support, meaning Ted. Well, that would be an improvement and a positive situation to put before the court. Without your support, Mark, she would have remained in jail until a trial date could be set. Fortunately, this is her first offense. She is a very young woman, and with rehabilitation, I'm going to recommend 6 months house arrest with 1 year probation and rehabilitation with your approval of being her supervisor for the duration of the house arrest. She will remain living in your home under the current conditions. Will you approve? Mark didn't hesitate. Yes, I'm willing to abide by the current conditions. Mark, Mr. Solmes, I'm sorry, I have to get Linda to the hospital. She's convulsing. She's so upset. Kelly frantically interrupted. Oh dear, call 911, Mark ordered. Mr. Solmes assisted and called 911 on his phone. The receptionist entered the bathroom and found Kelly kneeling over Linda, who was laying on the floor, shaking uncontrollably and very pale. She began choking again, and the women helped her to the commode where she vomited repeatedly. The ambulance has arrived within 5 minutes. The attendants hurriedly put Linda on the stretcher, cleaned her up, gave her oxygen, and tried to rushed her to emergency department where she was stabilized. Mark and Kelly were close behind and took care of the admittance forms. Then Dr. Meg Stevens attended to Linda and spoke to Kelly and Mark. Do you know of any medication or acute illness, or does she have a history of depression? We've only been close to her for a few days. She's under our supervision ordered by the court, and we are unaware of any medical conditions, Mark clarified. We were with her in her lawyer's office, discussing her situation, then Linda felt sick, ran to the bathroom, and started convulsing as well as vomiting. We weren't expecting this. You say she's been charged with a criminal offense. What are her current orders? She is under our supervision until her trial and conviction. She does show signs of moodiness and depression. Is she taking drugs or prescription meds? Not that we know of. We only see the moodiness. She has been going through some very rough times in the past year. I believe she doesn't know how to handle what's going on, but I would know if there were illegal drugs. Okay, thank you for your cooperation. We're going to run some tests and have a psychologist analyze her and admit her. It will be your responsibility to inform the court, and in the meantime, she will be under constant supervision during our hospital admission. Constant supervision? Kelly was very worried for Linda about her diagnosis. Why is that necessary? Do you think she'll try to hurt herself? The doctor explained that the test could determine that she has serious emotional problems, and under the mental health code she must have supervision. Kelly and Mark embraced, worried and suddenly shocked at the realization that Linda had some serious problems. As Mark held his frightened wife, his thoughts wandered from the responsibility of trying to be a mentor to Linda. How would they cope? Would they even know how to help Linda? You will be in contact with Linda's lawyer, I trust. Mark replied to the doctor, Yes, most assuredly. I'll phone him right away. I'll write the order for admission. You'll need to present to the court. Okay, I see. Thank you, doctor. When can we see her? If you still have a seat in the waiting room, a nurse will be in to see you shortly. Thank you, doctor, Kelly said. Kelly sat quietly for a few minutes while Mark made the call to Linda's lawyer. He was on the phone for close to 20 minutes. The call was supposed to just notify the lawyer of Linda's conditions, but it turned into an opportunity to advise Mark in these types of situations. Mark and Kelly were so bewildered as to how to deal with more complicated situations, sensitive as they were. With appreciation to good intentions, Mark followed the instructions given and used them to enlighten Kelly and to help ease her anxiety for having to care for Linda as well as Elizabeth. Kelly, how do you feel about the lawyer's decisions? I feel that he knows his job and he seems to be experienced in working for the psychiatric side of crime and will work to get Linda the help she needs instead of locking her up. I'm willing to work with Linda under professional direction. Maybe it's what we needed, Mark, to help us get through this because neither of us have experience in these matters. While not with criminal mental health, Mom's health condition is in a different category. Well, yes, exactly, Mark. The professionals will walk us through and help us with Linda. Ted might want to know what's happened. I'll send him a text message now. Linda was admitted to her room later that afternoon, and although she was relieved to finally have some bed rest since her arrest, she was skittish. She was sure that these things only happened in the movies, that strange and wild screams came ringing from the corridors of mental facilities where patients were tortured and poisoned. She was still nervous because of the unknown. Linda was given a hospital gown to wear temporarily, but the attending nurse said that she would be permitted to wear her own clothes as long as they were comfortable, and had someone to provide her with something clean to put on each day. She was also permitted to have a TV and books and her choice, but visitors must be screened as well as phone use because of her situation and legal problems that could occur. With the admittance formalities out of the way, she was allowed to have a couple visitors. Kelly and Mark were able to reach Ted, and that evening he showed up in Kingston with flowers and a large yellow and white teddy bear and a shiny gold and purple box for Linda. Ted was terrified for Linda when he heard she had become so ill in the lawyer's office. He had come to Linda personally, and he knew her heart and her plight. With that knowledge, it was no surprise to Mark and Kelly that he responded with such concern and left work to be with her at the hospital with gifts and such in a very short time of hearing the news. Before he entered Linda's room, she had been sitting in her bed, sort of zoned out, not from meds, but from relief or helplessness, one or the other. She just stared at the window, waiting for whatever would happen in the next moments. "Hello, darling lady." "Ted, I may be here for days or weeks." Linda began crying and reached for Ted. He sat down everything he had in his hands for her gently at the foot of her bed, sat down beside her and embraced her. He cupped her face tenderly in his large hands and felt her tear dripping on his palms. Ted, the hardened soldier, sat and caressed and consoled her with the tenderness and concern of a mother or father holding their newborn for the first time. She held on to his caress, and every one of his heartbeats took her each piece of her disintegrating emotions to protect them so that they would not be forgotten. He looked into her black eyes, and the calmness in his dark brown eyes cradled her in adoring love, and they were able to see the worth in their relationship. "I love you, Linda. I came as quickly as I could, and I left work as soon as Mark called me. I hope you don't mind, but I stopped at the mall to get you some gifts." "I don't mind. I'm so happy that you did." "I was in the mall for only 15 minutes, believe it or not. Everything I bought was right at my fingertips, like I was led to them." "Thank you. That's amazing, and I'm touched by your thoughtfulness, Ted. Here, these flowers are your favorite. I remembered that, and this teddy bear is to comfort you when I'm not here. You have a hard time ahead of you, but when you are well enough, I want you to walk out of here wearing this. Open it, darling. The fragrance of the flowers is like nothing I've ever smelled before. I don't want this to ever wilt." "Thank you. I just want to sit here and hold them and my teddy bear. Life in here might be bearable for you now." "Well, I don't know about that, but it does help to know that you brought these to me. Open the box. It will give you an incentive for getting better and to walk out of here very soon." Ted's eyes welled up with tears at the thought of that day that she would be released and where the satin copper dress. Before Linda opened the box, she kissed Ted and told him she would be wearing the dress sooner than he thinks. I know you will be, Linda. I want you to relax and heal, though you have been through some tough times this year, believe me, and it's going to come to an end. Can I count on you, Ted, to be there for me? Linda's lack of confidence in herself was showing out of that request. She realized it after she asked it. Ted began to speak out. She did not hear what he said until she had the nerve to look into his peaceful eyes. At the end of her pausing, she asked to repeat what he had said. You know, my dear Linda, that I will be here for you. With all my heart and mind, I will see you through this indignity. You are a good person and a lovely lady. I'm going to make right everything that went wrong in your life these past months. You can count on me. I can count on you, Ted? I'm beginning to heal already. I know that your love will be the foundation that I will stand uprightly with, and I promise you this, I will walk out of this place with you wearing this beautiful dress. Thank you, Ted. It's up to me now, and it'll be all right. He brushed her hair from the side of her face, and he had tears in his eyes, tears of relief. There was 40 minutes left of visiting hours, and Ted made the best of every second he had with Linda wherever they were. Linda finally connected with Ted, and she seemed well. Linda's attitude never went this way or that. She remained happy and talkative throughout their visit. Just before the end of their visit, Mark and Kelly delivered some comfortable clothes, toiletries, some magazines, and a large orange milkshake for Linda. Kelly was astonished at the change in Linda's mood, and she sat at the end of the bed and chatted. Girl, I'm so relieved to see you smiling. There's color in your face and all. Well, thank Ted for that. I'm so tired of feeling like a dirty old towel. It's great to feel happy. She's going to be all right, guaranteed. I don't think she'll need meds, and she'll be out of here in a couple days. Kelly gave thumbs up and kissed Linda on the forehead before putting her things away in the closet. The announcement came over the PA system, ending visiting hours. Linda had been sitting quietly for a few minutes when two nurses came into the room to talk to her prior to the doctor visiting. They commented on how much better she looked than when she was admitted a couple of short hours ago. They took her vitals, spoke to her about the rules, and left her some juice and cookies and a napkin, and advised her that the doctor would see her shortly. Dr. Laura Seeley came into the room and examined Linda and found her resting comfortably in her bed. Good evening, Linda. My name is Dr. Laura Seeley, and I'll be your attending physician. You stay comfortable. You are here to rest, and I'll pull up beside you and we can talk. Linda held out her hand to greet the doctor. I'm pleased to meet you. I'm feeling much better than I did when I was admitted. You do? Well, that's encouraging. The nurses said that you've settled down and that you were looking better. Will you describe to me what happened before you fainted? I was at my lawyer's office getting ready to discuss my case. I remember the darkness of the paneling, the gray ceilings, and the dullness of the track lighting. My heart began pounding, and I felt sick. I ran to the bathroom, and I was very dizzy. That's all I remember. I wake up in the ambulance, and they told me that they were taking me to the hospital. I think at that time my heart started palpitating again, and I began to feel sick again. I had oxygen and was lying down, so I guess that stopped me from fainting because I stayed conscious the rest of the way there. Here. Okay, Linda, I can see by reading your file we have ruled out a stroke. Had you felt ill earlier in the day? I've been so very nervous about my situation and my head. I did feel some pressure in my head and felt a bit of dizziness a couple hours before the meeting. Linda, you had a spike in blood pressure while you were in the ambulance, and we need to get it regulated and observe your health both physically and mentally for a few days. I'll prescribe blood pressure medicine and keep you on a strict bed rest for a few days, and we'll see if we can get you some help with your emotions. For now, I am prescribing bed rest and with visitation only once daily in the afternoon. There will be a therapist in to see you in the morning after breakfast. You be showered and dressed by 10 a.m. and ready to speak to the therapist. Do you have any questions? Is there a chance that I may be released earlier than the 5-day arrangement you spoke of? It is routine for blood pressure patients to be monitored and observed for at least 5 days. I'm sure you will be doing well since you have been able to rest already, so don't worry. Relax and concentrate on feeling better. Thank you, Doctor. Sunday after church, Linda, Mark, and Ted visited with Linda in the afternoon visiting hours, relaxing with and pampering Linda. Kelly brought balloons, and Ted brought about the 20th bouquet of flowers and wonderful china doll wearing a Victorian dress with long brown ringlets. It adorned the cupboard of the teddy bears already owned by Linda. Ted had babied Linda because the doctors ordered that she stay in the hospital until Thursday. Linda's blood pressure and emotional well-being depended on it. Her lawyer had been to visit during her hospitalization and has submitted an application for leniency and mercy due to her situation prior to the arrest. She had no criminal record and was a gifted student before her unfortunate situation. The victim received her money back, and a hearing may likely award her a pardon. Well, things are looking up for Linda there. So I'll bid you good day and come back and read chapter 12 tomorrow, hopefully. See you then. Bye.